It has been hard.
Tell me about your experience with the boxing board.
I spent, I think, about 3 months after we started. I was calling and emailing the boxing board. I wasn't getting anywhere with that. Some of the other individuals who you may be able to guess is kind of harder to deal with them because of personality. But I am happy that we are going to be moving past that stage because the sport has a lot of potential. I realized that for a student to stay at school for football or track training until 5 or 6 o'clock is generally not an issue with parents. I will ask my students to stay until 4:30 and it becomes a problem. The 4 boxers that graduated, all of them are high achieving academically. We have the student council president, treasurer of student council also on the team, who is our team captain. All of them were well awarded in the graduation. But my real major goal right now is to have the high school boxing championship.
All right, so here we are again. We're speaking boxing. I mean, this boxing just keeps growing and growing. And today we're speaking with a gentleman who he's probably on the path to creating some champions who will in turn become legends. And you want to stick and stay for this one because there's some interesting developments in boxing locally. Some things that if you have an interest, or even if you don't, you will have an interest. You will want to hear these. So today I am on cue with Coach LeRhone Webb. Coach Webb, welcome.
Thank you very, very much for having me.
All right, let's get to it now. Coach Webb, tell us about your involvement in boxing. I know you're a coach. Were you a boxer? Tell us how you got involved with boxing.
All right, so I was not a boxer. I was involved in Kung Fu or Sancho when I was a teenager. I started teaching during COVID, and I saw the need for the students to have that type of outlet. I know that I wasn't attracted to the traditional sports, and I know a lot of these students have the ability and the interest, but they may not be attracted to those traditional sports. So I wanted to give them that avenue.
All right, that's interesting because you are also the coach of, you said, Ferncourt High School.
Yeah, coach of Ferncourt High School.
Boxing.
For about 3 years now, we started the program.
Boxing.
Yes.
That's interesting, Bertrand, because we haven't heard of a high school boxing team in Jamaica for the longest while. But it's also interesting that you said you were a karate coach. You were more into the martial arts. And, you know, one of the things, I don't know if you know this, that one of the complaints that we've had where boxing is concerned, that it's hard to get boxing going, especially in schools, because of there's a difference over time that has formed itself. Boxing as opposed to the martial arts. The martial arts seen more as for affluent people and affluent kids, where people who are affluent will send their kids to martial arts class, while poor people, get into boxing. And for that reason, and then some, boxing was a sport that the acceptance, especially in schools, was never there. Are you aware of this this kind of dynamic?
Yes, and I personally face that issue. So my parents were not affluent, but I was gifted the opportunity to participate in traditional martial arts. When that funding source dried up, I attempted to get into boxing because I had the interest in it, but I was not able to. All of the gyms were far away from where I lived, and I just was not able to find a coach that was even willing to work with me at that time. But I stayed in by paying attention to the sport.
All right, nice. I mean, that's very comforting to know because, like I said, we've been involved in the sport for a while, and this is the one thing you hear. You know, speaking to even former boxers, it's the one thing. Boxing is for the poor man, so it does not get the kind of attention, and it doesn't get the kind of acceptance like, you know, the traditional sports or even the martial arts. So tell me now,
Yeah.
how did you eventually get into the sport? I mean, how difficult, how easy was it for you to eventually get in there?
Well, for me, since I started the team, it wasn't really hard to get in. The process after being in has been the hard part. I spent, I think, about 3 months after we started. I was calling and emailing the boxing board. I wasn't getting anywhere with that. When I finally got through, the president, Mr. Jones, called me, and I think about 4 days later, he called me back and asked for one of my boys to go to Cayman to compete. And since then, we have been participating in essentially every fight that we qualify for age wise.
So, all right, you speak about the boxing board. Now, one of the things that, again, I'm getting the feel that you are new to boxing at the national level. And when I say new, you haven't been involved for a long time. So some of the politics you would not have
Yeah.
been involved in.
I wouldn't have
Or
first hand knowledge.
say it again.
I wouldn't have first hand knowledge for some of it. Some of it I would have experienced myself.
Experience. So all right. So tell me about your experience with the boxing board.
Um, my experience with the president has been great. I get information when I ask for it, clarity when I seek it. I am directed on where to ask questions so that I know what can work and can't work. Um, some of the other individuals who you may be able to guess is kind of harder to deal with them because of personality. But I am happy that we are going to be moving past that stage because the sport has a lot of potential. And there are a
Yeah.
lot of good people that I've encountered working in the board or at the events that really love and believe in the sport and are currently capable to push it forward.
I'm tempted to ask you to call a name of one of those persons outside of the president that you've had in difficulties with.
I have an open case with the board, so I would prefer not to.
Okay. Well, and there's a particular reason. I don't know if you've been following the channel for the past couple of months, where we've been talking about some of the issues, and some of the issues that we've been dealing with are issues that have existed for a long time. I mean, if you were to speak to some people, even people who have passed on, some people who are much older than we are, people in their 70s, 80s, they'll tell you about some of these issues having been present in boxing for a long time. And I think it's we're at a point now where, for the youth's sake, for the nation, it's about time Jamaica start bringing home some Olympic medals from boxing, because we've been involved for so long. So we're trying to see how best we can iron out all of these things, get rid of these politics and innuendos out of the sport, so we can move forward. And which is why I'm so actually thrilled to be talking to you today, and to see that somebody has actually stepped forward to put together a school team. Which, let me ask you right off the bat, how has that been accepted? Because we know that boxing in schools over time has been a no-no, because most parents are like, or most people are thinking that, well, boxing, you're teaching the youths to fight, it's violent, which is kind of interesting, because some of these same parents will send their kids to martial arts. How has the sport been accepted at the school level?
Yeah, so it has been hard. I realized that for a student to stay at school for football or track training until 5 or 6 o'clock is generally not an issue with parents. I will ask my students to stay until 4:30, and it becomes a problem. I get questions of safety constantly, both from the school and parents. Uh, that is where I really have the issue. With the students that they are in the program, they are enthusiastic and they push. And we have, because of how I structure the training, we haven't really had any major injuries. We have had one student that needed to go to the hospital, and he was actually okay, but it was just out of an abundance of caution that we sent him to the doctor to ensure that he's okay. But parents is really hard as we continue and we have the testimonials. It gets a little bit easier. So we had our graduation yesterday, and our chairwoman, Miss Thelma Joe Hill, actually posed for a picture with the 4 boxers that graduated. All of them are high achieving academically. We have the student council president, treasurer of student council also on the team, who is our team captain. All of them were well awarded in the graduation. They were mentioned in the graduation as well. So we are improving. We're just hoping to continue that trend so that the parents and other stakeholders can say that the sport is safe, especially when you have officials and coaches that are paying the proper attention and abiding by the rules that are set out by World Boxing, for instance.
Okay, great. So what about the interest from students? I mean, you mentioned 4 boxers. Are you getting a general interest? Do you have more students who want to be a part of it? Are you getting interest from
I do. I
school from
have
students
those
outside
are
the
my
school?
4 that were at graduation. I have 3 more that finished school, but for personal reasons they didn't graduate. Uh, Team total prior to yesterday was 22, and we have students functioning in different roles. So not everyone is going to get a match outside of school. We had an internal exhibition a few months ago, and we were able to have 7 internal fights with 5 external fights. So first course student versus a student from a gym or another school. But we are still able to have 7 fights just between the rest of the members of the team.
Do you know of any other school that is seeking to pursue the path that you're on?
Yeah. So currently, I have heard the number 6 and I've heard the number 9. I can't name all 6 or 9. I know that Irwin and Mushet are active. Both of those are coached by Coach Graham in Montego Bay. Stats is another school that is very active. I think, along with us, Stats probably has the biggest active team that is at our school. I think the students from Mushet and Irwin train at the national gym.
Okay, nice, nice. I love it. I love it. So in terms of okay, support now, because again, while boxing is not the most expensive sport to set up, but sport in general, you need funds, you need support. Gloves, protective gear, bags, canvas, ring, ropes. So how has that been?
So initially it was really hard. I had to fund a lot of that first year by myself. Uh, Second year, we are at the end of the first year, we had an exhibition, and the money from that we were able to use to get some gear. And this year's exhibition was our third. So every year we have an exhibition and we are able to purchase equipment. We got a donation from some past students last year. And based on all of the accomplishments that we have had recently, we have a lot of support right now. Our chairwoman, Ms. Joe Hill, actually contacted the president of the JOA, Christopher Samuda. He came to the school twice to speak to our boxers. He is also arranging for us to get a ring. So we will be the first school with our own boxing ring, probably by the end of the year, donated by Moon Palace. Okay. So we're looking into getting some more activity to help and support the sponsors and individuals that are pushing us forward.
Right. Tell me about your ambitions. What would you love to see become of the program? What is your long-term goal?
My long-term goal is to be a national coach personally, but my real major goal right now is to have the high school boxing championship and to take home at least 3 of the championships. I want at least 3 weight classes to come back to Frankfurt.
So what about your boxers? What are you hoping for your boxers individually?
I would love to have a world champion, but I think what's more realistic now is the high school championship. Thinking about going to the Olympics and getting pro belts is really far off, and we need to set this foundation first. When I started speaking to Mr. Jones, one of the things that we both agreed on is for Jamaica to excel in the Olympics, we need to have a feeder system, and that would be high school boxing. if I, as one school, can turn out 6 fighters a year from grade 11, at least one of those fighters will continue for at least a couple of years in the program. And if we have 12, 15, 20 schools that are doing that, we're going to start having the numbers so that we can find the next Big 12 or the next Sakima, the next Hitman Russell, the next boxer that is going to either go to the Olympics and do well, or that is going to go pro and put Jamaica on the map.
Yeah. Have you networked with like any former boxer, anybody else who's who has achieved in the sport, or is it just for now?
Yeah, I speak to everyone. I speak to everyone when we go to events. The coaches that I speak to most regularly are probably Coach Graham in Mobile and Sakima. Outside of that, I just speak to people when things come up.
Okay, that's all right. Is there any interest from like you're in Fern Court? There are a lot of schools around St. Anne and even as close as St. Catherine. Do you find that like for other schools that might not have the setup, like you have, that there are other coaches, other boxers who want to join your program maybe after school?
But we've had a few students reach out, but the difficulty in that is we train at the end of school, so we'll start at 2:40. For a student, based on our location, it's not like Kingston where you can take a bus or a taxi and get somewhere in 15 minutes. It's going to be a half hour to an hour drive to get from one school to the other, from Orchard to Claremont where we are. So what we've been trying to put together the past few years, and this year we are getting more. I don't know if it's going to be exactly what I was hoping for, but we are having a development camp. We have been contacting schools for the past month, hoping that each school will send their potential boxer and potential coach so that we can get their systems off the ground. I started my team from scratch 3 years ago. So I think I have a really good idea of how the school system works and how you can work with that school system, as well as how you can structure a team for long-term growth and help the coaches to get in to the sport, even though they may not have a lot of pre-existing knowledge.
Yeah. So in terms of ISA, have you had conversation with ISA? Are they on board? Is it possible that
I
the
have
school's
not
competition will be under
personally.
the auspices?
I haven't spoken to ISA personally. I know that the boxing board has had conversations with ISA, and I have had our track coach mention to me that they are not going to take us on right now. I think the number is 16 schools. If we can find 16 schools that are ready to participate in boxing, ISA will come on board. So that's really one of the reasons why I'm trying to push to get other schools to come on board. We can get as close to that number as possible. Maybe we get to 12 and ISA realizes, okay, this is big, it's actually happening, and they will come on board at that time.
Okay, nice. I don't know, man. I'm smiling because I love to hear that. Recently I had a conversation with the president, and I know when he took over, one of the things that he wanted to do was to actually get boxing in schools. Because interestingly, in Jamaica, because we're still an amateur sporting nation, where we see things more from an amateur level. If you think about it, as much as we say we're a footballing country, but our best football is played at the schoolboy level. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We say we're a cricketing country, our best cricket is played at the schoolboy level. We say we are a track and field country, our best track and field is at the schoolboy level. Professionally, we have really not matriculated there yet. So it is definitely important to get to start these programs at the high school level, and even before, if possible. So this is definitely good, and I know the president did say that sometime this year, by September, there should be some sort of an official launch of high school boxing. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, so what I was told is that we're going to have a pilot season. not entirely sure how many schools will be a part of it. I can account for 4 schools that I am sure about. I know that there are other schools because we have seen those other schools in competition at Futures in 2024, but I'm not sure how active and ready those teams are to compete in September. I am assuming though that they were contacted, so they are doing their preparations just like we are.
Nice, nice. All right. So you did tell me about a program. Is it a camp that you're having over the summer?
Yes. So we're having a 2-week camp from the 13th to the 25th, both to prepare other schools for September and to prepare one of my boys to compete in a exhibition in Portmore on the 25th of July.
Okay, okay. So what are you asking for? This is an open invitation for participation, for sponsorship. Tell us
Yes.
what exactly would you like?
We'd love the sponsorship, but I know it's a bit late for that. I'm really hoping that the schools will come on board. We have had people ask individually. A parent wants to send 2 students. Uh, I am not really ready to accept that. I need the adults from the institutions to come on board as well, so that when those students go back to school, they are not just left without any supervision or guidance. They have an adult who understands how to structure a program and would be using our blueprint to continue and improve them.
Could that be probably? I mean, it's on paper and theoretically, it's the best way to go. But could it be though that, I mean, if you're not getting the buy-in, the immediate purchase right now from adults, again, because it's not a glamour sport, too, so there's not a lot of knowledge. Could it be that if you go that route, then you might leave some students hanging, some kids who really want to get involved?
I think that's a possibility, and for that, a plan that we have been playing around with for the last couple of days is actually to start holding open trainings on Saturdays, so that we can engage people who either live close by or are willing to travel. But I think for the summer, the main objective is to get the schools in. I have one school that showed some serious interest, so I'm hoping that they will actually follow through on it, Magati. The other schools have not signaled to me at all that they are going to be a part of it. I spoke to someone who said they represented Marymount as well. So I think some of those students will be coming, but just for one day. I think
Hold
they're
on now.
part of a
Hold on.
cadet
Hold on.
camp.
Hold on. If memory serves me right, Marymount is an all-girls school, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Interesting. So now you're going to
But those
have to get
students
some
will
more
only be here
equipment.
for one day, so
Say again?
I'm not sure if there would be competition ready by September.
Well, at least there's interest, because again, one of the things
Yeah.
I like to tell sports administrators to remember that not everybody will be an athlete, but athletes need support. You need good managers. You need more coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You need people who understand the sport inside out, so that there's a good support system all around for the sport. So, I would encourage you that whoever and whatever the interest is shown, work with it. Once that energy comes in, use the energy and let it organically help the sport to take off, because that's just gonna take a lot of weight off of you, where now between you and the board and all the administrators is now really channeling the energy into ensuring that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
Yeah, and that really aligns to how we have structured the team so far. My assistant coach is actually the first student that I started the program with. It was just me, him, one pair of gloves, and one pair of mitts. 2 years ago when we started. He's now graduated, my assistant coach. We are also looking at other students that have left to become certified referees and judges in the boxing board whenever that certification comes around again.
And that now
We
makes
accept
sense, because
students
that
that
now
are
I
not
can tell you
necessarily.
from experience. Sorry, say again.
Go ahead.
Now, I was saying that from experience, that now is a lot of wisdom, because I can tell you that you actually need that, because one of the things about the boxing board is that when you're doing events, especially for the people out in the country, so called, I really don't like it. I don't like this country and town thing that separates and divides a very small country. But most times you're getting all these officials coming from Kingston, and of course, what you have to pay them for a sport that
Mm-hmm.
does not generate a lot of money sometimes can be a little bit debilitating for promoters and administrators outside of Kingston. So getting more people involved on the officiating side is definitely wisdom.
So I actually have a plan for that. But again, I need the buy-in from the other schools to activate it. If, let's say, I have a school, you have a school. My school has 10 boxers. From the staff of the school, we could select a judge to be trained, and we could select a referee to be trained. Whenever we are having these national competitions, along with the team, you could transport the officials that will be coming, and we would have those people built in that are being paid by the school as a regular employee that would just be sent out as an official for this exercise, as well as those individuals would have the opportunity to get paid like regular uh, support staff at events if they are called up for an event that is maybe out of town. So maybe they have something in Montego Bay, instead of bringing all of those coaches, or not coaches, sorry, all of those officials from Kingston, they could utilize the officials that were certified in the school program.
Virgin, it sounds to me like you have the gift of administration. I mean, it sounds to me like you have a pretty good handle.
I am very determined for this thing to happen, believe me.
Wow. Wow. Nice, nice, nice. Because I know I can hear your determination and I like it. And of course, you're on the amateur side. I've spoken to Sakima. I know how much he is on the pro side. And I believe that, they both can work together. Not the easiest thing, as people from the boxing board will tell you that over time there has always been a call for a separation of the amateur game of boxing from fighting, from the professional game. But then one has to feed into the other, so they have to support each other. But they're pretty much different. They're far apart, but
Yeah.
close together, almost like an anomaly. But let me ask you this now: in terms of equipment, do you have enough gloves, enough mitts, enough bags?
So currently, we're okay. I'm expecting a shipment of equipment probably before September. Our new chairman for sports, Mr. Rose, has found a past student that is going to regularly support us. So we have a list of stuff that I prepared that should be coming, as well as the ring from Moon Palace. Uh, right now, we are in a pretty good situation. We don't have to depend on the old beaten out gloves that we used to.
Man, that I haven't heard this kind of news and this kind of information where boxing is concerned for a long time. As somebody who
Yeah,
has
I
set up a
think
gym and have helped boxers in the past and has helped the sport in the past, I have not heard this. So I'm happy to hear this. I'm also a part of a forum of ex-boxers and people who say they have the interest of the sport at heart. So hopefully when they see this, based on some discussions that we've had, then we'll be able to put something together to support the program, not just your program. Well, you say you don't need nothing, so I can tell them to give LeRhone nothing
we're okay for now.
for
What
now.
what I would really like
Uh-huh.
is for everyone to adapt a school. So the last conversation I had with Sakima, for instance, was me trying to convince him, and I think I did, to convince him to adapt a school and become their coach.
Mm.
I
That
think
makes
if a
that,
lot
that
of
that that makes
the
sense. That makes sense. And again,
retired boxers would adapt schools, that would cut the problem that I am having down a lot. Because instead of me having to now train teachers who don't have any prior experience, we could just start the program. We could just, all right, you go to this school, you train X amount of days a week. Maybe I could give them advice as far as structuring the team and working with the school, but the boxing knowledge would be taken out of it because they would already have that.
And of course, also, don't discount if you look at what's happening, like with football, where there is training within the schools, but also within the communities, you have the clubs that have training, and they then utilize the talent coming out of the schools for the various adult competitions across the island. So also, if you can find people who might not be able to get into the school, but they have a gym somewhere, and then you could eliminate the problem that you're having of your training time only being limited to a certain part of the afternoon, when like now in the summer, the afternoon goes way into the night, and kids who live within the area can lengthen their training time.
For the quote unquote country areas, is a little bit harder because of the travel times and distances. But I know, for instance, Coach Taylor in Portmore at Fit Like a Fighter, for our event, he brought 3 students from 3 separate schools that all train at his gym. So those schools would not have a team per se, but they have students that are able to compete and have been competing. I think if we were to go through his gym, I would not be surprised if we can find students from 6 or 7 schools that have been competing for the last 2-3 years.
All right. So let us get back to the myth. The myth of boxing being violent. You're teaching kids to fight. Yeah? I'm going to ask you right here now to speak to parents, just adults, school administrators, people in general, as to why it is a good idea to get young people involved in boxing.
All right. And preface anything that I'm going to say, I have the evidence, I have the facts. I have 3 years of testimonials from my dean of discipline, from my principal, from my chairman that can prove what I am saying. The students that join boxing or any martial art will improve. It is almost guaranteed if they are actually sticking with the program. If they leave the program because of the level of discipline, then we can't do anything about that. But any student that has been in my program for a year, I can call the parents right now and they will say, yes, my child has improved. Right? It teaches discipline for students, especially that are violent. A lot of these students, and when they come, they say the same thing. We can almost make a script from them. Any man thump me and him thump me too hard, I get mad and I go thump him down. That may be the thought, but the reality is, if I am beating you, it is because I can beat you. And there's no amount of upset or anger that is going to change that reality. So they are instantly forced to understand the reality of their situation, that they are not this great conqueror that they imagine themselves to be. And by the time they become able to inflict that amount of damage on someone else, they would have been put through that process of discipline. So they understand that, okay, all of those fights in grade 9, I was risking going to jail because if I had punched somebody the wrong way, I can kill them. Because every time I do this in training, coach say, don't do that, you're going to make somebody a vegetable. Right? That type of knowledge and discipline really helps. And again, I can prove it. I challenge anyone who is unsure, come to Fern Court, and I will show you the files, I will show you the students. I will call the parents, I will take you to the principal, I will take you to the guidance counselors, I will take you to the dean of discipline.
Yeah. And let me just add to that when, especially for school bullies, well, 2 things. Where Jamaica is a society where children are predisposed to a lot of violence. You listen to the music, every man a bad man. It's all about who I go shoot who in a head, and all of that is glamorized. And like you say, a lot of kids take that on because they don't know any better. It's what they see, it's what they hear. But for the most part, you look at those who carry this out. They usually do it at a time and in a place where they have the advantage. You know, think of the
Mm-hmm.
man who have a gun. Him stay from a distance and him throw a shot across to the man over there. So, yeah, and he plays with the fact that people are gonna be scared of the fact that you have a gun. Get him a 12 ounce or a 14 ounce or even an 8 ounce, and you put it on him,
Completely different person.
and you find the other person, and you put the same 8 ounce on that person, and you say, hey, go get it done. After about, they don't even last the first 3 minutes or 2 minutes of a round. And like you said before long, they understand respect. Yeah. But they also,
I won't hear it, but I have video evidence of that.
well, there you go. There you
I
go.
have video evidence of that student who beat another student, attacked him out of nowhere and beat him in the morning. I asked the principal for him. The principal said, okay, we don't know what to do with him. Take him. He came to training most off, told my experienced boys who I had already certified for outside competition, I can beat everybody here. I said, all right, go. I will let him go, and I don't think in the 2 rounds that we let him be out there, taking it easy on him, of course, I don't think he actually threw 5 punches.
Exactly. And you know,
And none of them landed.
when I was a child, when I was a kid, and going to school, boxing was big in Jamaica, and it was one of my sport. And most of the people maybe love boxing. And as soon as you have two students in school who decide to them want to fight, you know what used to happen? We'd form a human ring and put the two of them in the middle and say, no, do it. Go at it. And I guarantee you, 9.5 out of 10 times, that fight stops right there. It goes no further.
So what I teach my students, I'm tempted to say boys, but we have girls on the team as well. But what I teach them is about mouth. Whenever we go to events, even prior to us actually being allowed to participate in them, because we're not allowed to participate in the Ray and Nephew events for that. There is all a mouth in the crowd. Mouth knows everything that the fighter should do. Right? Mouth is loud and mouth is forceful. But when you stop and speak to mouth in the crowd, mouth has never trained that day in his life. If you say mouth, you know, I have a gym right beside the house, mouth is not coming. Mouth is busy that day and he's going to be busy every other day.
So I can tell you something about mouth.
Go ahead.
Cut crossway.
All right.
Make me say anything.
All right. So even that I find is that's something that helps with the discipline as well. A lot of the fights that happen in schools comes from a lot of talking. So you will have the student has an issue with that one, and they talk until usually the one that is more scared decides that, all right, they are threatening me, I am going to do something about it before they do something to me. That is what I have noticed with a lot of these fights. For my students, we really haven't had any incidents of them getting into fights, because very soon they realize these people are just talking, right? When other athletes or other students come to training and I can beat him, you know, I can beat him. I say, all right, come. And when they see them recoil, because they're like, oh, I thought I was going to be able to say it and not back it up. Well, as soon as they are invited, oh, you know, my foot sick today. I need to catch my bus. You know, I have homework tonight, and the excuses just start coming out. So my students quickly start to realize that, oh, this person is just talking, and the talking means absolutely nothing unless they touch me.
Right. And of course, the other thing that we need to point out also to young people is that it's best to get into a program like this. When you want to channel that energy, this is the best place to do it. I'm going to tell you why. After a fight in the ring, you're totally in the clear, you're legal. A fight outside the ring, something happens, then the police start look for you. So you run, you train for get in the ring, you fight, you come out of the ring, you're good. Outside the ring, you fight, you get in trouble, you hurt somebody, And then now you're running from the police because now you become public enemy. I think that should simply be an encouragement for parents, for adults, for students. Get involved in a program. I know you did mention, boxing and other martial arts, which is a good way of putting it because that's your background. But a lot of people see martial arts in a different, like we said at the top of the program, we see it in a different way. But you're absolutely right. Get into one of these programs, channel your inner self into this, and you find out that at the end of the day, you make yourself a better person. Who knows? Your talent might come through and you might be the next great thing out of Jamaica, the next Olympic medalist, the next Pan Am CAC medalist, or the next world champion at the pro level. So we encourage Coach Webb and every other person who might have similar interests, get involved, help out the sport, but most importantly, help out the youths.
Definitely.
Well, Coach, listen, man, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear everything that you're doing. We want to encourage you to keep going, and let's keep the dialogue going. Whatever we can do to help you, we will. I don't know if you've done your research and known some of the things that we've done for and in boxing in Jamaica, and for some reason, I don't know, I can't shake boxing. I started out this thing just talking to Sakima about some of the grosses of what's been happening, underground. Next thing I know, I'm talking to Carl Grant. Now I'm, the president called me, and now I'm scheduled to have a chat with the outgoing Gensec. So I know you. So we hope that this trend, that it snowballs, that it just keeps rolling, and that boxing grows, and that especially the school program grows, and we'll support in whatever way we can. Thank you for all that you're doing for the sport and for the youths.
Yes, and I would also like to thank you for being a part of that media system that boxing really needs. People need a story. I think it was mentioned in one of the previous interviews. The Jamaican public needs to have a better view into the sport so that they can buy into it. So I think these interviews and others, because I've seen a couple of people that are now going to be covering boxing and martial arts, really need that to build a critical mass so we can find the audience that will help to push the sport forward.
Yeah, and I can tell you the audience is there. Again, we are a violent society. Let's just be truth. We love a fight. Yeah, you're watching any school or on the street, as soon as you hear two men make noise and draw two stone after each other, there's crowd. You understand me? So let us channel that and try to change that from being street violence and make it into a more structured, disciplined thing where people are actually learning. And you know what, Coach, if you think about it, the country on a whole can learn discipline from this. People can actually become tired of the violence and decide, no more of this. Any violence, any fight I want to watch it on TV, or I want to go see it in the ring.
And that's more sustainable, A fight on the street may last 30 seconds and may end in bloodshed. If you are thinking about the sport, you are guaranteed 3-minute or 2-minute rounds that will be exciting for all of it.
Yeah, you can cheer for the boxers without feeling guilty at the end, like you said, that there was bloodshed, or now you become a witness to something violent. So yeah, and again, the thing about violence is that whether or not you're involved in it, the fact that you see it does have an effect on you also.
Yes.
Yeah. So man, thank you, and let's keep the dialogue going. We're gonna sign off for now, just for this one, but let's keep it going. Please keep me abreast of everything that's happening, and let's help to push this and make this successful.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much again.
All right, man. Respect.
Yeah, man. Right. Bless us.
Bless.